Are you ready to explore the unknown? Dive into the world of the strange, mysterious, and unexplained with Eerie Expeditions magazine. Each issue is packed with spine-tingling tales, cutting-edge paranormal investigations, and exclusive insights into hauntings, cryptids, UFOs, and more. Whether you're a seasoned investigator or just love a good ghost story, Eerie Expeditions magazine has something for you. Join our growing community of truth seekers and adventure lovers. Subscribe today at EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com and unlock the secrets of the supernatural. Are you ready? That's EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com, where the extraordinary is just a click away. Dare to discover.
Welcome to this episode of the Gateway Podcast, broadcast live from the edge of the Mojave, where the strange slips through the cracks. We are live on United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM, and I'm your host, C.L. Thomas. Tonight we're joined by a fellow radio host with GhostBox Radio, Greg Bakun. But before we get into that, you have been listening to Into the Night with Sean Kelly, and with his discussion on healings. Sean has been going through a lot right now, so keep him in your prayers. And if you missed him, check him out on Sundays as well. I think he's coming back on Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific. It's currently 77 degrees here in the Mojave. So I'm back from a 3-week travel event. I am recovering a bit. I'm kind of tired from going all over the place. I started out in New Orleans and went all the way up into Chicago, and I stopped at a whole lot of different places, all the way out through the Midwest, up to Mississippi. So I am home throughout Halloween, and then I'm going to be heading back again. I'm going out of the Rocky Mountains this time. But while I was out, Vegas flooded with rain, and something else happened too. For those that listen to me know that I like to locate old mining shafts and gold mines in order to look for gemstones. And a few times that I've done this, I've come across 100-year-old dynamite boxes. They're just laying around all over the desert, and they look like little wooden crate, and it says right on them dynamite. But I never actually found real dynamite. Well, over by the Panier Saloon, just yesterday, someone did. They came across a box of old dynamite, and they currently have all the roads leading into that small community closed until they can remove it. They have like a bomb squad out there that is removing that dynamite. It's kind of neat. I never thought about that stuff could possibly still be hot after all of these years, but I have heard of Civil War cannons and things like that, but it's pretty interesting. So over the past week, I got to tell you guys about Chicago. You know, initially I wasn't looking forward to visiting Chicago. I've met a lot of nice people over the years. A few bad apples, but for the most part, everybody that I've met from Chicago has been really nice. But I just wasn't, I don't know, I don't really like those bigger cities like that, and I just wasn't looking forward to it. But what a surprise that city is. It's so beautiful and it's so clean. When I was there, I had a chance to walk around the city for a little bit, and I got to see, you know, that weird bean thing that's in the middle of town. I did go to the Chicago Art Institute. I went to the original Goat Tavern in Harry Carey's location. They have like an old safe from a mob guy that used to live there. So it was kind of neat, a lot of history there. My flight on one of those days, on my return flight, got canceled. And so I was moved to a standby the following night. And so I had like an entire afternoon. And what I did was I hooked up with a Chicago tour guide. I just met him through the internet by accident, and he took me around. He took me to the old Al Capone house. He took me to the parking lot where Valentine's Massacre occurred. It was really interesting. What a lot of neat history. I could see why the town of Chicago, though, kind of tried to cover everything up. So where the Valentine's Massacre, it used to be like a garage, and there's a building right next to it. And you can still see the tar line where the old building existed, but now it's a parking lot because nobody apparently will build on that. And the old El Capone house is empty. It's abandoned. It's just sitting there. It's like nobody wants anything to do with the mob history of Chicago. But anywho, over the past few weeks, I did stop following a lot of the paranormal events, and this is going to lead me into our topic tonight. To be honest, it's gotten a little old, a lot of this stuff. I really lost interest in it, and it just seems like it's become nothing more than a group of people trying to earn a living. There's nothing paranormal anymore about it, which leads me down this rabbit hole of the Conjuring house. I did have another guest on tonight. I did bump them because I wanted to talk about this. And what it was is I saw this little badge. I'm going to put it up here. I saw this badge of honor. I helped save the Conjuring house. So listen, this is going to be my opinions. So I just want everyone out there to know these are my opinions. My guest is coming on here. We're going to discuss this. It's his opinions too. We're not attacking anybody. I just got to throw this out there. But you know, it just deserves some discussion for many, many reasons. So joining me tonight is Greg Bakun with GhostBox Radio. So let me get him on here. Hi, Greg. Welcome to the show.
ICL, happy 100 episode.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. I'm so stirred up about other things that I forgot to mention. This is my 100th episode.
Mm-hmm.
Who would ever thought?
That's cool.
So you and I have discussed this Conjuring house thing that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's the badge of honor. Everybody has this right now on their website. It's everywhere. This is going around. The Conjuring house. Together we can make history. I helped save the Conjuring. I mean, what is going on here, Greg?
It's an interesting thing, and I think there's so many pieces to this, but one of the things that you and I had talked about, and I posted on my social pages, and it got some pushback on it. Fair enough. Is that there you have a very big paranormal celebrity in the form of Jason Hawes, who said that he was approached by Andrea Perron, who used to live in this Conjuring house, is what we call the Conjuring house for a hot second, and she had asked him because it's there's been some drama around it. It's up for auction now. Can you help save this house? I need you to help save this house. And so Jason had taken to his flock of fans and started a GoFundMe. And with that, he had asked people to donate money so that they can have an opportunity to buy this house. And where for me personally, I just... And my preface to this is you can put your money wherever you want, okay? I'm not trying to tell people how to spend their money. I am more trying to understand the purpose of why people are so interested in, quote, saving this place when probably 90% of the people who have donated have never gone nor never will go. And, I don't understand what people are like. It's the history. It's what's the history to it? The fact that the parents live there. If that's your answer, fine. That's fine. But I'm trying to understand. But to me, the bigger issue here, which I'm trying to figure out, is you have a paranormal celebrity who is asking for money to help save something that most people will never get to, and they just blindly do it. And I wonder why that is. And I also just think that really, to me, sums up the current situation of the paranormal field, where we're not really talking about paranormal anything anymore. If you talk to me, what you say to me, what is the paranormal field? To me, it's like, well, basically what I see is people going to conventions, and most of them are worshiping celebrities, and very little of it has to do with any sort of paranormal research or helping people with spirit. And that's a very generalized thing, but that's, if you're looking at Facebook, and I, I'm sorry to say, if you go on Facebook and you see all these paranormal conventions, and say that you just came down to earth on the planet Zob, and you looked at these convention posters, you would think that there's only 7 people in the entire world that do paranormal, because it's the same people going out to these conventions week after week, when there is hundreds of wonderful people who do wonderful research, and they're completely ignored.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And oh gosh, there's so many layers to this onion to peel away tonight. I don't even know where to start, but it's funny you mentioned the Paracons, because I had a big falling out a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And it's because I made a comment about one of the Paracons that went on. And what it was is this group of 15 people, they meet twice a year, and it's a hefty fee to get in the door of this thing. And they sit in a room, and they investigate the Washoe Club and a few other places around Virginia City. Now, that in itself is pretty cool. However, it's become more of a drinking club. It's like a social club for these little group of people to get together and hang out with Shane Pittman and a few other people. Mm-hmm. I'm going to name drop, because I just really I don't care anymore. I'm just going to do it. But yep. I made a comment about it and was vividly attacked online by people that were at that event. And they said that I was closed-minded, which, if anything, I'm being a little more open-minded, because I'm able to see the bigger picture of this thing. One person said that this was her family and that all of these people were her friends. Where are people making these kind of generalizations? These people are not your friends. If you didn't have that cover charge, they're not letting you in the door. They're not going to contact you outside of a Paracon. Yep. They're not calling you on a telephone. These people are not your friends.
Yeah, no. I mean, and that's just it. I think that I find especially there's some really interesting groupies that are connected to a number of these paracelebs that I've seen over the years, and that they, like you just said, that they think that they're very good friends with them. And I've always thought to myself, if these people are your friends, are they reaching out to you between Paracons to see how you're doing, or, hey, I'm in the area, or, you know what, if you can't make, if it helps you to get to this Paracon, I'll take care of the fee to get in, because I just want to see you because we're friends. You know what I mean? And that's not going to happen. No one would expect that to happen, but that's kind of where to me it's coming from. It's like I think using the term calling them friends and stuff is such it's to me it's almost delusional, because they just, for some reason, some of these people really feel the need to make sure that we know, like you and I know, that they are closely connected to these paranormal celebrities, and it's some sort of status. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which it isn't.
It's very strange. It's very strange. And then you get into some of the people that are trying to be on these shows, which is a whole different ball game. They get interviewed for a show one time, and they have on their Facebook page that they work for travel channel and things like that. It's just such a strange culture to be a part of right now.
Yeah, my favorite is the one who's milking, having been on the Holzer Files once, and that's how they. That's what they like to be known the most for. And trust me, I don't know about you, I almost got onto a Travel Channel show, and I don't mean like being a guest on it. We almost had a show, and we were working through a production company called Tremendous, and they had done the shows for Tennessee Wraith Chasers and Ghost Brothers. We were working to get on a show, and I will tell you firsthand that the best thing that ever happened to me was not getting a show, because from that moment on, everything changes for you. And I don't mean like, oh, it's glamorous and amazing. It's as far as I'm concerned, you become a shill right from the start, because you're shilling yourself, first of all, because they're not going to pay you the money that you need to live. They're going to pay you the very basics. Even if you're on a TV show, obviously there are exceptions, because some of these paracelebs have been on for so long. You know, Zach is getting paid a lot more than anyone else. But if you're starting off, you're getting the bare minimum, because they think you're going to find your way into all these paracons, and that's where you're going to make your money. So right away, you are set up in a situation where you have to shill yourself out just to be able to try to make a living. And I think the stark reality for a lot of these people is you're on TV, and then you have to somehow go back to some kind of day job. They're trying to hold on to dear life as best as they can, because they don't want to have to go back to the normality that the rest of us have to deal with on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's so true. And that leaves me with what's going on with these constant GoFundMes.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I'm going to get Sean in here real quick. Sean Kelly is another host. Hi, Sean. Can you hear me?
Hello, everybody.
So,
Greg.
Sean,
Yes,
meet
I can
Greg.
hear you. Yes, very well.
Sean hosted another
Greg.
show with Into the Night, so he wanted to be in on the discussion a little bit as well. So yeah, that kind of leaves me now where you have all of these different GoFundMes. What's happening with these GoFundMes? I've seen them for cats. I've seen them for vet bills. I've seen them for just all kinds of things now. And now we're buying property for Jason Halls. And listen, I'm not saying that we shouldn't give money to people, but I just feel like there's real people out there that need things like GoFundMe for real health problems. Yeah.
I mean, I think that that's the thing, that it's like trying to figure out, you know, if especially if you're one of those people who really, I'm going to even go as far as say worship some of these para-celebrities, you're not going to have the discernment to be like, is this really?
They're assholes.
Leave it to Sean to say what he feels.
Yeah, right. No kidding. Well, that works too. But yeah, and that's just it. I mean, what's real and what's not, and what's needed, and it's like, and I think it goes back to what I said, that, you know, a lot of these people don't want to go back to a real job either.
Yeah, and I don't know, Sean, is that your radio?
No, I don't think so. It's my brother talking. Can you hear him? Do you hear it still?
Yeah, he's a little loud.
Yeah,
but
that's my brother. I'm sorry about that, everybody. Here, I'll set this. Go ahead.
The thing of it is that there's a lot to unravel with this, and I kind of lost my train of thought on it. But there's a difference between, like you said, there's a difference between the entertainment side and then the real paranormal. And I feel like those lines over particularly the last year, after all these shows got canceled, all of the GoFundMes revved up, the Paracons revved up, as all these guys, like you just mentioned, are trying to support themselves because they lost whatever little income they had from these shows. So now they're just trying to sustain themselves and keep this thing going to keep them on television and keep them in celebrity status. So there's that. And I feel like it really blurs the lines between entertainment and the real paranormal and real researchers that are out there. Because now there's no floor for the people who actually do research. It's nothing but these TV celebrities that are trying to make a living. They have a monopoly almost now on these paracons.
Yeah, they really do. And I think the thing with them is that, I was thinking,
you know what? Why don't we all pitch in and put a go?
What did he say?
I don't know.
Oh, can you hear me?
No, you faded out.
You seem to be like behind us, like audio wise, I think, a little bit.
All right. It was a pleasure, Greg. That's my computer. I'm going to get Greg on my show. Please tell him that.
You hear that, Greg? You're going to go on his show.
Okay. Yeah, no, I heard that part. It just seemed like his audio was a little, like he was hearing us a little bit later than what we were talking, it seemed like.
Yeah. He's got a lag on his audio for some reason.
Yeah, one of those internet.
Internet
swear to
lag.
God. I was just going to say though that basically that when all these GoFundMes and stuff, it's I think the thing that's really frustrating about it is that there might be some GoFundMes in there that are that are legit, that people really need, but when you get the onslaught of them, and it just seems like that they're they're not all for like stuff like what I would consider. I think that's where I would do GoFundMes if my health was an absolute peril and I couldn't possibly pay for all the bills or whatnot. And you get stuff where people are, and I know this sounds like I'm judging people. I'm trying not to, but it's just, what on earth is it that people are like, I need money for my heating, for my electric, and it's like, well, what are you doing? And all you see people do when after you give some money, all you see is them going out to other like paracons and stuff or investigations, or showing off new equipment that they bought, and you're kind of like, what? So you could do that, but you said you needed help for just like cat bills or whatever else. That's the part that's really kind of hard to be like, for me to be understanding about, I guess.
Yeah, and I've seen that a lot too in the paranormal community. Just recently, in the last few months, I've seen at least 2 or 3 people out there who were collecting money for eviction notices and things like that. But when you go through their Facebook, they're at paracons and things. I mean, these paracons are not cheap.
No, and before anyone is judging us, like, why don't you just give the money? Why would you go through their Facebook page? I would guess just about everybody who is donating or see one of those, you're going through that person's page. You just are. That's just human. So I don't want people to be like, oh, well, you guys are judging. You're looking for a problem. And it's like, I don't think so at all. I think what we're doing here is we're trying to understand, because we're seeing an onslaught of these. It's not 1 or 2. They're constantly coming up in different ways. So what is it that, if I'm going to put money in, I kind of want to see, the bigger picture as well.
Yes. And I think that's it. You just hit it for me. I give money all the time to different charities. So it's not like I don't give to anything. I give a lot of money, actually. Probably more than at least 15% of my income I give out to other causes. But those causes are people who are really in need. They're people in my community. They're people, like for Christmas, I always adopt a family and purchase, toys and things for the kids because the family can't do it. So it's not that I don't give money. So I hope people don't hear that. That's not what I'm saying. It's just when you see these kind of things out constantly like this, where people are making poor judgments maybe, or I don't know. And that goes back to this whole paranormal thing where people are almost like worshiping these celebrities.
And I think what we're kind of dancing around a little bit is that I think we are feeling like there are certain, and I don't mean all, but there are certain people doing these that are using their celebrity influence to influence other people to put into
Yes.
their GoFundMe or whatever money making thing that they're trying to do, and that's fine, but it feels like, there's that is just the whole goes back to, why are we doing so many GoFundMes if you're having trouble making ends meet and you're a para-celebrity? You may want to try to find a job. I'm sorry. I remember Brian Cano at the Las Vegas convention, and talking with him a little bit, and he said to me, he goes, the thing that people don't understand is I'm on these shows and stuff, but I'm also at Amazon lifting boxes to for shipping and stuff. He's still doing, at that time, I don't know what he's doing now. I mean, that was 4 years ago, but at the time he's just like, people think that I am doing all this stuff and making a living off of it, but I'm doing these other jobs so I can make a living, be able to pay my bills. And I think that's important, because I don't feel like a lot of these people think that they should be, that if they did some paranormal celebrity, been on a show or something, some, not all of these people kind of feel like that they should continue to live that lifestyle, even though that boat has shipped now about 3 years ago.
More like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
If you really think about it. Yeah, there's a couple out there with GoFundMes. One guy lives in a 4-bedroom house, and he drives like a really nice car, and he's living off of GoFundMe. I mean, why are you not downsizing at least?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to be judgmental about this. I'm just being realistic. You're expecting everybody else to pay your way, but then you're living better than most of the people out there.
Right. And don't you think that this is a conversation of more of maybe not, I mean, I know we've been focusing on the GoFundMes, but it's also like, just for folks to understand that, just be aware of what's kind of going on out there with this field, that, that there are people making some money. I don't doubt for a second that the people who are going to these conventions who are, quote, celebrities are not exactly always making the best money. I don't think that they are. But the point is it shouldn't be on, just if they're not working, it shouldn't be on just the fans to try to kind of support some of these people as well. And I think that's where my mind goes to, is the, just so people have awareness of that, be careful of the stuff that's being asked of you, and do the research and make sure that you are, the influence that some of these folks are putting out there, you're not, that you're not giving into, that you're just a little bit more discerning about some of this.
Yeah. And, I've made my mistakes in giving money in the past to a few of these GoFundMes, and pretty much got burned by it. I thought these people were my friends as well. And it turned out that's not the case. They were just in it trying to make a buck from me, basically.
Yeah.
So it was a lesson that was hard learned.
Well, and that's just it. I think it's very easy when we see some of these people, on TV or whatever a lot, we meet them, and if they show you any kind of favor, it's not impossible to be like understanding, like it's not impossible to be put under that spell of like, wow, you know what? I think we're friends. I think this is, I mean, it's not, I'm going to say it's human for that to happen. But once you kind of start to realize for some of these people, and you just kind of see how they treat you when they only talk to you, how you're giving them money, and then you see them turn up in like a really nice car or something, and you're just kind of like, Well, you're doing pretty well, aren't you? But yet you still have this GoFundMe going. Those are things to really, kind of, if you want to still give money, that's your money. You do whatever you want, but it might be time for you to start thinking about, well, is this really the best use of my money? And are these people really my friends?
And what's worse, why are we placing them on pedestals in the first place? Back to the Conjuring house. So where's that little thing again? I'm going to put that back up there. This is the badge of honor that people are putting on their Facebook page after donating to the Conjuring house. So I'm going to ask the question again. What exactly are we saving this house from? Is it from being owned by anybody else other than Jason Hawes? Because that's what it feels like. That's
where I'm at with it. And, you saw my post on my Facebook page. I did a number of posts asking the same question of like, what is it that, I don't understand what the purpose of what this is. Down to the point, and I understand that it's been described a little bit better, but I'm not saying that it's a great response, but when it started, there's questions like, what if you don't get the money, enough money? Is there a rebate? Is there a refund, or is that money going to be redispersed? And no one could answer that right away. Who's in charge? Is it Jason Hawes that owns it? Is there going to be a group of people that he's going to trust to own it? Nevertheless, where does any profit go to this place? Because it will make a profit eventually. And that's the sort of thing that I don't understand. And once again, people are like, it's so important to save this house. I don't understand why, and I'd love someone to explain it to me. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to be a jerk about it. I'd like to understand, because at the end of the day, the thing that I kept telling people is, if you're going to do that, if you're going to put money to the Conjuring house, would you please consider also giving some money to a local paranormal location of your choice, because they need the money too, and they don't have a Jason Hawes to speak up, only because he's had dealings there. His daughter has had dealings there. Mm-hmm. Andrea Perrin has reached out to him.
I think that's the problem, is that Jason Hawes is going to own this house. You're essentially buying property for Jason Hawes.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put it what it is. You're buying property for Jason Hawes. I mean, the person that just donated $100,000, I mean, it's your money. By all means, do whatever you want with that. But is that just so you can wear this badge that you donated to Jason Hawes? Or are you going to own like a timeshare in this where you get to investigate anytime you want? Yeah. How does this work for those who do give money to this?
Absolutely. And that's the thing that, and I understand for the people who are giving like $10, $15, it's not a whole lot of money to just say, yeah, I did my part in putting money towards the Conjuring house. But what about those people that are putting 5, 10, 15, 20,000, 100,000 into this? You can't tell me that you're not looking for some sort of, some kind of notoriety out of this, some kind of notice.
Maybe you're looking for a time slot for TV or something. I don't know.
That, and which is funny because there is no TV.
There's that streaming service that everyone thinks they're going to be.
Right, exactly.
Did I just say that? Oops.
Yeah, but there's 2 of them that are going.
Yeah, I'm kind of over that scene too. But
right, and the thing, it's like, or are you going to just you're buying favor with Jason Hawes and the community? And once again, you're buying friendships. That's what you're trying to do. And to me, it's all very hollow. And once again, I think about places in Minnesota where I am that no one knows about, no one gives a crap about, but could really benefit from $100,000. But no, the history of the Conjuring, we can't lose that. What is the history, CL? What is the history?
Man. Well, I did a little bit of research on this, and I've read Andrea Perrin's books. And I'm just going to throw this out here. I've met her in person. Mm-hmm. She's a very nice lady. I don't have anything, and this is not an attack on her by any means. But I think I think the books are very highly embellished. I think it's just for a movie. I think it's for money.
Yeah.
I think it's that fine line between entertainment and reality in the paranormal. And unfortunately, I think with the movie deals and all the money that was made over the years on this, I really think that it's just for the movie aspect. And you led me to an author, which I never even heard of. Her name is Shannon, with Paranormal Folklore No More. Is that the name of it?
Yep, that's it.
Where she does the background research into the main character, Bathsheba. Is that the name of that?
Bathsheba. Yep, Bathsheba. Yep.
And it's a completely different story.
Yeah, very. And I know that Andrea got very, if I'm not mistaken, got very angry with Shannon for coming up, with this falsification of Bathsheba, of being not the nasty witch that the Perrin family says she is, but in fact, someone who, never deserved that sort of misinformation about who she was. And folks, I'm going to ask you to think about this. Bathsheba's been dead for, 150 years more, something. I don't quite know. But imagine someone getting your legacy wrong and is actually fighting to keep it wrong because it makes your story better. That's horrible. That's
really horrible.
There is no excuse for that. None whatsoever. But unfortunately, and see, I hope I'm not going off the wrong tangent here for you.
But no, you know what? I say whatever I want these days,
Because this is what it comes down to. You get someone like Shannon who writes this book and writes about Bathsheba that way. And all the people who support Andrea, they don't stop and think and be like, oh, well, okay, I'm going to take a look at that just because I'm curious to know maybe what, is this true or is this a mistake? Or I can read it and make up my mind, and I can still think it's wrong, but I'm going to do it all the same. But instead, you have people, and this goes across all paranormal personalities, they blindly will defend these people without looking at any of the facts. And it shouldn't even be as harsh as what I make it sound like. It should just be an open conversation of, you know what, this is what you thought was what happened, but there's information that came to light. Why don't you consider, reading this and taking that on board? But instead, you find people, anytime that you have any criticism or even feedback about some of these people, they just get ferociously angry. I mean, you just made the point earlier in the program about even just giving your opinion on a Paracon.
Oh yeah. Anytime you give any opinion that's different from what I'm going to call them groupies, because that's what they are. The groupies, if you're saying anything outside of what they believe, then they're going to attack you full hearted.
Absolutely.
But as far as the people that lived in the Conjuring house, there's a whole list of them. One in particular, there's a bunch of newspaper articles about her. Her name is Norma Sutcliffe. She lived in the house from 1987 to 2019. So that's a long time. She says the house is not haunted. She even tried to sue the Warner Brothers for all the emotional distress and for the harassment that she was receiving while she owned that property. So it's kind of interesting. Why would a homeowner for that long come out and say that?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, because us as fans, we get fanatical about this stuff. So now this house that no one ever really knew about, suddenly everybody's flocking to see. They have to, can I get in and investigate? As you talked about, just the same as Amityville as well.
Oh yeah, Amityville, perfect example. That one, the guy even there's a documentary out right now where the guy admits that he came up with the demon story just to get a lesser sentence. And that he was heavily on drugs. There was no demonic activity going on. The current homeowners of Amityville say the house is not haunted at all.
Mm-hmm.
The photo with the little boy that the Warrens had taken, which this is what kind of had me rethinking the Warrens initially. The photographer is the one that's in that photo, the little boy. It's the photographer. And if you want to know if you want evidence of that, I can definitely send that to you. For any listener out there, email it to me and I will send you the documentary and the recreation. There's a guy that recreated that whole scene.
And that's the bit that bums me out, because I love that photo. I think it's so cool, but it's not real. And
but if you take someone like the Warrens, though, who were supposed to be, the godfather of paranormal, how did they miss that? How did they not know that the photographer is the one who did that?
Well, and I hate to say this. I mean, there's a lot of cases that they were a part of that. There are people who they were trying to help that ended up not wanting their help. And this is one that, if I'm not mistaken, they ended up not. They only did so much with it. And I think with the Conjuring case as well, right? That they, even though the film gives the impression that they were there till the very end, it's like they clashed with the parents quite a bit. I know Ed did. And that's, that's something that I hate to say it, because it really bothers me to say. I mean, that's the thing that has really burst in my bubble over the last few months, is everything going on with them.
Yeah, same.
I guess I'm such a strong believer in this stuff until you give me reason not to, I guess. And it really makes me sad, because this is, this was that's partially my cornerstone of my faith in what is paranormal, based on, books I've read about them and stuff like that.
Yeah. The Warrens, that it is a disappointment to me. And I feel like too, like the doll, for instance, we have that doll on tour. If that doll really was demonic and just so dangerous, why do we have it out on tour? And it kind of goes back to the Conjuring house. If everything, I read the books, if everything she says in those books are true, and it was such a horrible place to be at the time, and she had all of these negative experiences, et cetera, why do you want to purchase the house for it to be investigated in the first place?
Right. Why do we not want to, and it's interesting, because like you said, that person lived in there till, what did you say?
2019.
And then it went and became a paranormal location for investigators, which suddenly, apparently the spirits returned.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's kind of like, did they now really? They for nearly 40 years, nothing. But now that it's a paranormal destination again, it's dark and dangerous, and in the history, it needs to be saved. Come on.
When did those books come out?
The Perrin ones, Andrews, or?
Yeah. I wonder if it's around that time frame.
I think they were before, because I had her on one of my other shows way back in, I might even been 2016, 2017, maybe even before that, something though around that time.
It's interesting, because you had the Heinzens purchased it in 2019 and they wanted to revamp the house and open it up to investigations.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason that didn't work out, and then that Jacqueline Nunez bought it.
Yeah.
And it was a place of business, and she owned it all the way up until the falling out, which I have to say this. There's a huge controversy between Jason Hawes and the ex-owner.
Yes.
Where he's vividly saying that he wanted to own the house and he's going to get it off of her. How much of this was actual harassment to get her out of the house to begin with? I know I'm stepping out on a ledge here, but I'm just going to throw it out there because it is up for debate.
It's interesting because I don't know, and I'm freely going to say this, I don't really know anything about that episode, because to me that was paranormal drama. But what frustrated me about it, people who don't know anything about anything, there was immediately a villain created out of this. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that it's not valid. I just don't know. But that's the first thing that came to my mind. And right away, it looked just like the whole community, because once again, I think there were stickers like the I Saved Conjuring house. And everybody was like, I am for, whatever the right side was that they believed was the right
Jason
side.
Hall side.
Yeah.
And I don't know the full story on that one either, but I am going to throw it out there because it is open for discussion about what happened there.
Yeah.
Because from the outside looking in, I don't know what Jacqueline did. I don't know who did what at this point because it's all he said, she said sort of things. But I can say this. There was a lot of paranormal bullying going on because what he did was he took it to social media and got all his fans against this woman. Of course she's going to lose.
And I do about that. And I do believe part of it was that she was like treating her workers that were like off in the face of for the media side of the Conjuring house. She was treating them pretty poorly, like not paying them and stuff. But at the same time, once again, and this is, I think, a big problem with social media anyway, and you just said it, is when the way of getting to the bottom of it is that you are bullying somebody, and bullying doesn't always mean that it's a victim being bullied. Sometimes any kind of like mass oppression on someone, that's bullying. And was that really necessary here? I don't know, but to me, I just feel like that's almost a misuse of your power of a celebrity to turn it against anybody, quite frankly.
Yeah, well, I've seen that before in the paranormal community too, because unfortunately, that's a thing in the paranormal world as well, where you have different celebrities who take a stand on something that they feel like they've been slighted in some way. And they always have a victim. I've seen it a lot with at least 4 or 5 different celebrities out there now. And what they do is they'll rant about it on social media, and then all of their fan base will go after that particular person.
Yes.
I've seen that many times. And it seems to be that's become like their way of it becomes their way of making themselves always in the right. If that makes sense.
I think it does. I mean, that's the way it looks like, in that and they can use their power, if you will, to sway that in the right way. And you got to ask, how many times, because there are some that have done this many times. How many times does it take for people to kind of be like, you seem to be in this situation quite a bit. Are you sure it's not you yourself?
There's at least 2 or 3 of them that are always in that situation. It seems like.
Absolutely. And I don't know about you, but when I have issues, generally I keep it to myself, because I find that when you put someone on blast like that, it doesn't always work. And there has to be a better way. That's the way I feel about it, at least.
Yeah, same. And watch, because we're doing the show, I bet you I'll get blasted. Just wait.
Yeah, I don't know. And the thing is like like with you. I mean, I don't, when I do my show, I don't really try to bring on celebrities any longer, because it doesn't. We're not talking about anything new here. We're not talking about any discoveries or research. We're talking about shows that have been made 3-4 years ago. There's a couple that I find I like quite a bit. I do like Brandon Elvis.
Yeah, I do too.
And I like, I just had on Jason Hewlett from up in Canada last night. But, the thing is, it's like, I much rather have someone come on the show and tell me new research or new theories, new concepts that excite them. And we can talk about that, instead of being like, kind of a fan wank of what they are. Some of these people are, talking about the glory days from 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm in that same boat, and I've been saying that for a long time. So yeah, it's what a world, what a community right now. But
and I was just thinking about it, that I for a while I was going to interview Dakota from Project Fear. I mean, and it fell apart. Then he got in touch with me, and he's like, "Would you still like to do this?" And yes, but then it fell away. And it's like, even that, who I think that those guys are all really pretty cool. I think they have good heads on their shoulders and whatnot. But even that is just like, what's that going to do? That's not really going to do anything. And it's certainly not going to help my listener base by having these celebrities on, because they might come to listen to their favorite person on my show, but they're not going to stay afterwards. They're not going to stay the next night. So it doesn't really matter anyway.
Yeah. And it's because they only want to hear the regurgitated stuff from that celebrity. And
they hope that if it's a Facebook Live, they're hoping that we'll put up their comment and this person is going to say their name or something. I do believe that's a big part of a lot of Facebook Lives.
I think you're right.
And I have a rule on my show, and I tell my guests this: if people come in the comments and they say hi, please do not say hi to them, because I'm also a radio show, and people listening on the radio are just going to be like, who are they keep saying hi to? It makes no sense. So, yeah.
Well, we've discussed a lot tonight, and I hope people don't think, this is a soapbox, I guess. I just saw that badge of honor going around today and thought, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and have a discussion about that. This is just an open discussion. It's my opinions. It's not meant as an attack on anybody else out there. So if you're listening and you think that I'm just a total evil person because I stated my opinions, it's just that. It's my opinions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
me too.
But Greg, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I can't believe this hour already is gone, just like that. You are the host of GhostBox Radio. Where can listeners find you?
You can find me on Facebook, GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. I'm on YouTube as well at MN GhostBox Official. And then I'm actually on the air on AM950 every night at 10:05 p.m. And you can go to am950radio.com for the live stream as well.
Greg, thank you so much for joining me with this soapbox tonight. I know it was a hard episode. I know we talked about this over and over again over the last couple of weeks, and I just felt like I really needed to discuss some of this stuff that I see going on in the paranormal community right now.
Well, thank you for inviting me on to that, and 100 more episodes for you too.
Oh, I hope so. I'm definitely going to change, just from what we talked about tonight. No more paracons, no more celebrities for me. I'm going to move into a different direction with this, and stay tuned, because I have a whole bunch of researchers coming on, authors, healers, all kinds of different people that are making their way to the airways coming soon. So, Greg, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Gateway Podcast, broadcast live from 107.7 FM New Orleans. If you missed the show, you can catch us again. You can watch the YouTube. I store everything on YouTube, so you can subscribe there and rewatch, or you can just catch me next week. I'll be back again with all new shows and all new people. So stay tuned, and thank you all for listening. Until next time.